Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and for today's video I'm here with another top 20 for 2020 list, part of Jason and Joe's top 20 for 2020 challenge series. This time around it is my top 20 horror films from the 2010s, so from the past 10 years essentially. This list was brutal. It was extremely difficult to do. I came up with 30 films initially, right off the top of my head pretty much. So obviously 10 of those needed to be axed. But yeah, very, very difficult. The past 10 years I think has produced some fantastic horror, a lot of unique ideas, especially in the past couple of years. And I still say that 2018 is easily the best year for horror in the past 10 years, easily. And I've got about 4 or 5 films from 2018 on the list. So yeah, wow, 2018 was phenomenal. But anyway, enough on that. Let's get on with my top 20 2010s modern horror list. So like all my lists, I will start at number 20 and work my way down to number 1. Okay, so sitting at number 20 we have Summer of '84, and talk about a nostalgia hit for me. I love this movie. It definitely reminded me a lot of the 80s. The vibe was definitely there. I love movies like The Monster Squad and The Goonies, and it definitely reminded me a lot of those films. This one was awesome, about a group of young kids that are trying to track down a serial killer. Cool idea, cool storyline, great characters, and wow, that ending took me by surprise. Very, very brutal and nasty ending. So yeah, Summer of '84 at number 20. Coming in at number 19 we have The Conjuring, and I will admit that ghost and haunted house movies aren't necessarily my favourite genre, but I think James Wan did an absolutely phenomenal job with this movie. He nailed it. To me, this is a modern haunted house ghost story classic. Very, very simple premise, but extremely effective. So yeah, that is The Conjuring at number 19. Coming in at number 18 we have Leprechaun Returns, and this was an absolute blast, and I really want to thank Brad Bronco Juggalo for really encouraging me to give the Leprechaun series a go. I'm still working on most of the sequels, but this movie is phenomenal. It's definitely got that old school slasher vibe to it, which I love. This is how all modern slashers should be made. Absolutely fantastic, a ton of fun, awesome kills. So that is Leprechaun Returns at number 18. Coming in at number 17 we have Cult of Chucky, and this is an absolutely fantastic entry into the Child's Play series. I love the hospital setting in this one. This has my favourite kills within the franchise, the best kills within the franchise in my opinion. Chucky looks fantastic. Really liked the characters a lot within this one too. So yeah, that's Cult of Chucky at number 17. Coming in at number 16 we have A Quiet Place, and this movie is phenomenal. I really love the whole concept of having to be completely quiet and silent throughout the film. Great take on a creature feature, really original and unique idea, and it works really well. You have to really rely on the acting and the characters to be able to pull it off, and they certainly did, because the characters and the acting within this movie are phenomenal. You really have a genuine empathy for this family, and there's some truly emotional and very hard-hitting moments within this film. So yeah, that's A Quiet Place. Coming in at number 15, I don't own a physical copy because it's only on Netflix, and that is Bird Box. So like A Quiet Place, this one is also a sensory horror in the fact that the characters are blindfolded throughout, so they cannot see anything. And I think that idea for a creature feature is fantastic. Great cast of characters within this one, and just yeah, the whole idea of having to be completely blindfolded and not being able to see a damn thing is pretty scary in my opinion. And yeah, it works really, really well in this film. It's very, very effective. The other thing that I really appreciate about this movie is we never see what the creature or the creatures look like. And I really, really like that idea because neither do the characters, well, for the most part, unless they actually look. So I thought that was a really, really cool idea, and it leaves a lot up to the audience's imagination too. So yeah, Bird Box is fantastic, and that one sits at number 15. Coming in at number 14, we have Puppet Master The Littlest Reich, and I absolutely love this film. And like Leprechaun Returns, to me this has that classic old school horror vibe to it. Yeah, fantastic entry into the Puppet Master franchise. This movie was a massive nostalgic hit for me. It definitely took me back to my teenage years when I used to rent out the original 3 Puppet Master movies pretty continuously with mates. So had a ton of fun with this one. Great cast of characters. The gore is amazing. Very, very high body count. And the puppets look fantastic. So yeah, that's Puppet Master The Littlest Reich. Coming in at number 13, we have The Purge Anarchy. This is a fantastic sequel and definitely my favourite within the franchise. I love how the storylines opened up a lot more and you kind of learn a little bit more about the Purge because the action is taken out onto the streets this time around, which I think is fantastic. And I love the whole sort of concept behind the Purge too. Like, I'm glad that it never happens, but the whole concept about crime being legal for that time period is pretty interesting and very, very scary at the same time. So yeah, that is The Purge Anarchy. Coming in at number 12, we have Dream Home, and I've talked about this Asian slasher a lot, and for good reason, because it is amazing. Really, really love the killer in this film. She is awesome. It has a really, really good story for a slasher too, and the kills are brutal. Some of the most brutal and realistic looking kills that I've ever seen in a slasher. So yeah, this one is awesome. So that's Dream Home. Coming in at number 11, we have Get Out, and I think this movie is phenomenal. Very, very unique concept and premise, and yeah, I love this movie a lot. It came out in the right time for me because I was really needing something a little bit fresh and different, and Get Out definitely offered that to me. Very, very messed up idea, but pretty interesting at the same time. And yeah, the acting in this especially is fantastic. The characters are all really, really awesome. So yeah, that's Get Out at number 11. Coming in at number 10, we have Split, and this movie is amazing. Very, very unique too, especially when this first came out. The idea is nothing new about a psychopath kidnapping characters and basically keeping them hold against their own will, but the difference with this one is the main character, James McAvoy, who was amazing in this, has multiple personalities, a lot of multiple personalities. So the captive characters never really knew what character would appear throughout the film, and what an amazing concept, and it was pulled off brilliantly. Love this movie a lot. So yeah, that is Split at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Wolf Creek 2, and this is a amazing follow-up to the original Wolf Creek film. I'm sure everyone out there is familiar with these movies, or at least you should be. Good old Mick Taylor is back once again, and this really does what a good sequel should do, and it ramps up the violence and the kills. The kills within this are a lot more brutal. The gore is fantastic, and yeah, Mick's just back at his serial killing antics once again in the outback with Wolf Creek 2. So love this movie, it is awesome. Wolf Creek 2. Coming in at number 8, we have the It remake, and this one blew me away. I saw it in theatres and I have seen it multiple times since, and yeah, I love it every time I watch it. To me, this is definitely a modern classic, and I definitely prefer it a lot more to the miniseries. I think the chemistry between the characters is fantastic. Pennywise is amazing within this film, just so good. So yeah, that is it. Coming in at number 7, we have Tales of Halloween, and this is definitely one of my all-time favourite anthologies. I think this one captures the Halloween vibe perfectly, has a really, really awesome wraparound with the whole radio show, which is really, really cool. The opening credits within this film are especially really, really awesome. This one has quite a lot of stories for an anthology, and while some of them are a little on the short side, I think they are executed and pulled off really, really well. I like the majority of the stories, and there's good variety within the stories too. So yeah, that is Tales of Halloween. Coming in at number 6, we have Better Watch Out, and this is a fairly recent watch for me. I only watched it for the first time a couple of months ago, but as you can see, I absolutely love it because it is very, very high on this list, and for good reason. This movie absolutely blew me away. It's definitely one of the best modern horror films that I've seen in a very, very long time. The acting is fantastic within this film. And yeah, it's a great take on a home invasion and slasher film. A lot of pretty cool twists and turns within this film. So Better Watch Out is awesome. I absolutely love it. Coming in at number 5, we have Deathgasm, and I consider this one to be pretty underrated. I never really hear too many people talk about it, which is a shame. But hopefully with you guys seeing this video, if you haven't checked this one out, you check it out, because yeah, this one is awesome. It's a horror comedy from New Zealand, and if you're a fan of early Peter Jackson films, I think you will like this a lot, because it's definitely got that vibe to it. And yeah, another one that has that sort of old school horror feel to it while having a modern take, and completely awesome. It's basically a heavy metal horror film and done very, very well. It has some great comedy elements, awesome characters, and some really, really pretty fun and gory scenes throughout too. So yeah, I love Deathgasm, and that's why it sits at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Hatchet 2, and I friggin' love this movie. You guys have heard me talk about it a lot in previous videos, but it is one of my favourite slasher films of all time, and I'm not just talking about modern slashers, I'm talking about all decades of slashers. This is definitely up there with some of my all-time favourites. I love the swamp setting once again. The kills and gore are ramped up over the original. The kills are amazing in this film, and I really, really like the mature cast within this too. So yeah, that's Hatchet 2. Coming in at number 3, we have Train to Busan, and this is definitely my favourite modern zombie film, and I will fight anyone who disagrees on that. Yeah, what a phenomenal modern zombie film. It's set aboard a train, which I think is a fantastic location for a zombie outbreak. But what really makes this movie is the characters. The characters are fantastic, especially the relationship between the father and the daughter. You really get invested and have a emotional attachment with these characters. And it is so well done. There's some very, very hard-hitting and emotional moments within this film, that is for sure. And some great zombie action too. So yeah, love this movie. That is Train to Busan at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Hounds of Love, and this is my favourite Australian horror film of all time. This has the most realistic acting that I have ever seen within a horror film, and it's essentially a serial killer horror film. It's based on a true story, and it's set over in Perth. So it is based on a real life serial killer case where a couple used to kidnap and hold women captive. They would rape them in very sexually perverse ways and then murder them. And this is essentially the movie kind of takes place and is like a story on the last victim who actually got away and managed to report them to the police. So yeah, it's basically a story on that. But yeah, the acting is very, very realistic. It almost felt like I was there experiencing what they were going through. Very, very impressed with this one. Absolutely love it to death. Yeah, it is my favourite Australian horror film, so that is Hounds of Love at number 2. And coming in at number 1, we have Maniac, the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood. This is another one that I've talked about several times, but to me, this is a modern slasher masterpiece. It's my favourite modern slasher, what can I say? I think it is absolutely amazing. Phenomenal soundtrack. Elijah Wood did an amazing job as Frank, and I love the way this movie's shot in POV. And the kills are frigging brutal. Love everything about this one. So yeah, my number 1 pick is the Maniac remake. Okay, so there you go. That's my top 20 2010's horror films. So my top 20 horror films from the last 10 years. I just want to thank everyone for watching these top 20 lists. I know they've been pretty popular on my channel, and I do definitely appreciate that. They are a little bit on the lengthy side. I try and keep them as short as possible, but just for me personally, I like to kind of talk a little bit about the movies and explain why I'm showing them a little bit. So thank you for bearing with me despite the length of these videos. But yeah, I'm going to continue to do these top 20 lists as much as I can under the different themes throughout this year, because it is a lot of fun. And while this list was pretty difficult for me to come up with, I'm pretty happy with the 20 movies that I've selected. So that is it, guys. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of my top 20 modern horror films from the past 10 years. Let me know. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.